Good afternoon. Very pleased to be with you today. So my name is Rémi Habfast. I work at Wiremind, and I know that most of us are public transport enthusiasts here, but for those of you who still drive a car, let me start this by asking a very simple question. When you buy a car, why wouldn't you want to get each different part from a different supplier? If you know one supplier that makes great engines, for example, another supplier that makes great batteries, and a third supplier that makes really cool designs, why wouldn't you want to make the car of your dream by choosing the best for each of these parts and assembling the car yourself from different supplier? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why people don't do that, actually? Well, first, it sounds complex. Second, it's probably also more costly, because each of the three suppliers probably wants to make a margin from selling its product. And third reason maybe is that you don't even know if at the end of the day it would work to assemble parts from different suppliers. So this is the obvious reason why people don't do that. It's quite stupid to do that. But if you think about it, transport operators in the railway and in the bus industry, this is exactly what they are forced to do when they want to build their IT ecosystem to sell tickets. They need to buy one system, which is called the revenue management system, from one provider. Wiremind, actually, my company provides this kind of system, but they need to buy another system, inventory and ticketing system, from a second supplier, and they need to buy also a CRM from a third supplier, plus many different other systems from other suppliers, and they need to assemble all those systems together, which is complex and costly, and doesn't always work very easily at the first time. And this is not a problem that you have, for example, in the airline industry, because you have Amadeus that assembles all these products together, but in the railway and in the bus industry, that doesn't exist. There's no Amadeus there. This is why Wiremind, which until recently had been providing revenue management solutions for about 10 years, decided to create an inventory, a ticketing, and a CRM products to offer a full ecosystem called PAX One, which we are currently developing. But this is not the main topic of this presentation. What I want to highlight today and to explain today are the reason why there's so much value that can be created by integrating all these systems into the same product. Why creating an Amadeus of the railway industry will create value beyond the value of each individual solution. The first immediate reasons that you can have are the one I kind of already mentioned. First, for a transport operator, if you just need to purchase one solution instead of 3 or 4, of course, it's simpler. There's just one solution to integrate, one solution to configure, no interface to manage between all these solutions. And also, because it is simpler, it is usually also more cost efficient. You need less resources to manage all these systems, all the interface between the systems. And because you're only talking to one supplier, you don't have 3 suppliers that each want to make a margin from selling their products. And of course, and more importantly, it's also more flexible. Because if you want, as a transport operator, to introduce a new commercial product, a new fare, or anything new, you don't need to negotiate with 3 different suppliers so that they make some developments and synchronize those developments together to make that change happen. You just need to talk to one supplier that has control on the entire roadmap and that can make that change happen much more easily. But these are, let's say, only immediate advantages that are, let's say, purely technical and economical, but there's much more than that. In terms of functionalities, if you have all these systems working perfectly together, deeply integrated, inventory, ticketing, RN, and CRM, it becomes incredibly easy to implement innovative features that use all the systems at the same time. Let me give you a few examples. There are probably 10 or 20 or 30 examples I could give here, but let's focus on a few ones that you have probably heard of, but that you have not seen so much yet in the railway industry because they are quite hard to implement if you need to make them work between different suppliers. Whereas if you have all those 4 systems working together, they become very easy to make real. Those 4 examples here I can give, for example, is what we call spill recovery. Spill recovery is the ability when you have a train that is too full too soon, the demand is too high, but you still have passengers that paid a very low price. You can try to incentivize those passengers to take an earlier train or later train or to upgrade to the first class cabin. So there you need the CRM, the ticketing, and the RM system to work well together to do this properly. There's also the example of through fair pricing. That's the ability to create prices and optimize prices dedicated to connections. So a price that is not just the sum of the 2 segments when you have a connection with two trains, but an optimal price that is actually well suited for passengers that will do the connection, which is usually much lower than the price of the 2 segments. To do this, to make this kind of evolution, you also need to have the RM, the ticketing, and inventory system evolve together at the same time. Flexible departure time sales, third example here, is what allows you to sell a ticket even if you don't know the exact departure time. For example, if you want to sell tickets 1 year in advance, that's what many airlines do, but railway companies not so much, because you don't know exactly what will be the departure time 1 year in advance. You can still sell tickets with a departure time that has to be confirmed, and that you confirm later on. But for that, you need the inventory, the RM, and the CRM system to manage this kind of feature. This is also useful if you have 2 trains departing in the same interval. You can have flexible tickets where you will only allocate the passenger to one of these trains in last minute, depending on your load factors. For example, these are the kind of use cases that you can very easily address if you are able to offer flexible departure time. And the last example I can quickly give here is when something goes wrong for the passenger, when there's some travel disruption, a cancellation, a delay, or a connection that is going to be missed, what railway companies usually do is that they send a message, like a text message or email, to tell you, okay, there's a disruption. Sometimes they tell you you can cancel your ticket or just go on your website and can rebook. But if you could have directly embedded into the email some actions with some proposals of how you can rebook your ticket by just clicking 1 click on the button that is inside the email, you could rebook much more easily. And you can really change the customer experience when some travel disruption happens. But again, this is very easy to explain, but it's quite hard to do if you don't have the CRM, inventory, and ticketing work together. So these are, I will stop now with those examples, but it's just to illustrate that there's a lot of innovation, simple innovation, because I'm sure that you have all heard of some of these features that have been around for a long time. Airlines already do that kind of thing, but they are very hard to implement if you don't master all the critical components that are inventory, ticketing, RM, and CRM. If you master all of them, it becomes quite difficult to do those kind of features. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. These are, let's say, the low-hanging fruits of the kind of cool features that you can do. They bring additional revenue, they can reduce costs, but there's still much more than that. What we believe at Wiremind to be truly game-changing when you master the entire ecosystem is the ability to leverage AI in the inventory and ticketing and CRM solutions. Currently, we use AI in the revenue management system. We have been doing so for many years now to build optimal prices. And we know the power that AI does there. It has a huge power. It can maximize revenue, optimize those factors, and automate a lot of processes. But we believe that we can also bring the value of that AI to the inventory, ticketing, and CRM system, which currently almost never use those kind of features. Let me give you only 2 examples of what you could do with AI in an inventory, ticketing, or CRM system. There are, again, many more examples that could possibly give, but I will try to focus on these 2 examples. The first one is network optimization. Network optimization or network planning is the art of deciding what capacity, what train stops, what schedule, you're going to put on each departure, and also to optimize maintenance at the same time. This is something that is very important for transport operators because it does not only bring additional revenue when it is being done well, but it also reduces costs when it's being done well. Because the entire production system and maintenance system depends on how you optimize the rolling stock and the way the rolling stock is being used. So this is something that is truly critical for transport operators. Where we believe that AI can help is, for example, let's take a very simple use case. You have a train from Paris to Vienna, and you are wondering whether it's a good idea or not to add a stop in Munich. Who can answer this question? I mean, do you have an idea whether, from a business perspective, it's a good idea to add this stop in Munich? Any idea? Well, that's an easy question, but the answer is actually quite difficult. Because it depends on a lot of things. For example, it depends when you have passengers getting off in Munich, from Paris to Munich, those passengers getting off, will they be replaced by new passengers from Munich to Vienna? So are you going to sell every seat twice or not? If you don't have those passengers getting on in Munich, so you have only passengers from Paris to Munich replacing passengers from Paris to Vienna, are those passengers from Paris to Munich going to pay more per seat than those passengers from Paris to Vienna? That's also a question that is difficult to answer. And the big problem also is that the answer to those questions can be different Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays than it is during the weekend. It can be different during the winter than it is during the summer. So if you don't have AI-based demand models, it's almost impossible to answer this kind of questions during a full year, to have the impact in terms of additional revenue and ridership and cost of this kind of change in your schedule. And this is just a very easy example. So it's very difficult to take good decision in network planning if you don't have demand models. And what we want to bring to our inventory system is use the AI models that we already have with revenue management and bring them into the inventory to allow users to optimize the network. So this is first example. Second example is overbooking. Overbooking is something that is being done very often by airlines, but not so much by train and bus companies for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons is that for a train company, it's quite difficult to know who is actually showing up or not. You don't know exactly what the no-shows are because, unlike airlines, you are not boarding all customers. You sometimes have control to get in the station, but not on all the stations, or you can control tickets on board, but you don't control all the passengers, or not always. So it's difficult to have reliable statistics on your no-show rates in the train. So you don't know actually what risk you are taking when you allow overbooking on board a given train. What we want to do is use AI to, even with sample no-show data, so you just have data from some stations or some trains or some control data on some carriages, so very partial data, and you use that data with AI to build a no-show model that allows you to forecast on any departure, any day, any O&D, any train, how many no-shows you can expect. If you use that, which is on top here of the slide, and you also use your demand models that tell you how much revenue you can expect per additional unit of capacity, you can calculate exactly how much additional revenue you can make if you offer overbooking capacity. You can even introduce into that model the costs of denied boarding if some passengers are finally standing up or cannot get on board because you have overbooked too much. Through this kind of calculation, you can calculate the exact risk that you would be taking by offering overbooking, and you can calibrate overbooking to manage that risk and make additional revenue without having any extra cost, because there is no cost associated to this kind of operations, just additional revenue. So it's pure margin, actually. So these are just two examples of what AI can change. And these are deep changes. These are game-changing actions that you can obtain from using AI in inventory or ticketing system. There's also a lot of examples in CRM. I don't have time now, but for CRM also, if you are interested, meet us at our booth, at Wiremind booth, and I will be very, very happy to discuss what AI can also bring for you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.